Bless you. A face here.
Come on
Face
forward.
here.
And this is how we go. Happy New Year.
There we go. Ready?
We are on.
Let's put some peach in this cup.
Alrighty then.
Uh-uh.
Hey friends, thanks so much for joining us during your valuable lunch hour. Know how much that means to us. This is Susan Hamilton. You're listening to the Offbeat Business Show and our Happy New Year show. This show is launching the very first of the year, and I'm bringing you someone that I knew had to be here the minute I met her. So let me introduce to you Kisha L. Allen.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Kisha is a motivational teacher, and you can tell that. Let me tell you, I would call it an anointing. I've seen her.
Oh.
I've seen her in front of a group of people be just stir the room to a point where they were all, you know, I can do that. You know, I can do that. You know, I can do that. It wasn't. You didn't pump them full of hype.
No,
You were just
I
straight
speak
up.
truth in life.
You were
That's
just
it.
straight up.
Yes.
I love that. Well, you know, Kisha, it's so important because we are representing 80% of American small business that are family-owned businesses
Absolutely.
of 9 employees or less.
Mm-hmm.
That means we're building our businesses while we're raising our kids. That means
Absolutely.
we're building our businesses while we're probably raising our kids and taking care of our parents. Many of
Mhm.
us fit in that little spot.
And grandkids.
Sure, no, yes, I know a little bit about that personally. You know, and on top of all of that, we are either exposed, most of us, and I would say almost all, I would say the number is very, very high, are exposed to a veteran in our workspace that is either really bringing excellence and skill and discipline to the table, making us awesome,
Right.
or possibly they're struggling with reintegration because they couldn't find the services they need, and that can be a very distracting thing
Absolutely.
for a business owner. And also more and more, Kisha, we're dealing with addictions in our families, and it's so pervasive, and if it's not happening in your family, odds are very good you're exposed to it in your workspace. So when we bring business information to the table, it's always through that lens
Right.
of recognizing that, but also recognizing one thing that I think you and I have in common is that the purposeful nature of why it is so important to do what it is we do.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head, addictions. A lot of times, addictions come from us trying to fill a void, trying to put a Band-Aid on a wound. And so the moment you find purpose and you have something to live for, something to press for every day, something that gets you excited to wake up for, that becomes your addiction. That becomes your adrenaline rush. That becomes your excitement. And so when you look at addiction, we're not just talking about drugs or alcohol. We're talking about sex. We're talking about sweets. I mean, even down to the extent of sweets. I had a conversation at a women's event this weekend about how much as a woman I love sweets, but how I noticed that when my life is where it's supposed to be and I'm living in purpose and on purpose and I'm excited about life, I eat very healthy and I'm very clean and all of that.
Mhm.
And so addiction from the standpoint of feeding ourselves something, trying to numb the pain of not living and operating and living on purpose.
That's so important because in business, we're not operating in a vacuum. We're not going to be going out there and just making money by ourselves. If we are not impacting our community and living large and in the respective community, the networking that's available to us today is not just in person, although that's wonderful.
Right.
But what we try to show here at the Offbeat Business Show and magazine is that we've got video, we've got audio, digital magazines.
Absolutely.
That's networking because it's all intricately connected to what's going on with
Right.
social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're down, when we are boogered out, we're not just ruining our families and ruining our business. We're taking down the community because if you're not stepping out and giving it all you got every day, friends, you're not, somebody else is missing what you got.
But you know what? I was actually having this conversation after a really funky experience that I had with leadership. And the sad part, I think the thing that we don't understand is that we are all leading in some capacity.
Yes.
The hard part about that is I don't think we understand the responsibility that comes along with leadership, and that not only now are you saying I accept responsibility for my actions, but I accept responsibility to what happens as a result of me leading you astray. And so as leaders, I think the hard part is that, you know, and I look at my life with my daughter and my husband, even the level of responsibility that, you know, I have to my daughter, not only to be her mother, but, in our instance, I'm also her first experience in from a spiritual perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so here she is, she's coming to me for spiritual advice. And if I'm all screwed up and jacked up and going astray, guess what? I'm leading her astray. You know, I look at my office and I'm looking at people who are coming to me for advice, who are watching, not only coming to me for advice to lead them in a direction, but they're watching what I do and saying, hey, she does that. I like that. I want to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then following behind me, but understanding that leadership is bigger than just, hey, get over there, go do this. Hey, you. But it's, look at what I'm doing and follow me.
That's so important. And what you just said there kind of spoke to me in another way. I know someone who, every time they look in the mirror, they feel like, like it's somehow wrong to appreciate what they see. They don't like what they see. And the issue then, really, when you recognize in a spiritual context, in a business context, in a leadership context, cannot be, you really don't have the right to look in that mirror and say, I hate this about me, I hate this about that, because you just taught the person right next to you that is an appropriate way to respond to your own reflection. And I think that is, you really start capping someone's potential when you start doing that.
The hard part about, so what I teach on a lot about is relationships. And so we look at relationships and we always think it's marriage, it's friendship, but relationships exist in everything that we do. And the most foundational relationship, even when you're going into business, and I think a lot of business professionals miss this, a lot of business owners miss this, but your first relationship that you have is with yourself. Even before you can begin to connect with God, you have to have a certain level of awareness with yourself. And then you move into it and you say, you know what? Okay, now there's something bigger than me, and then you move into a relationship with God, and having all of that, all of those the staples of relationships, if you don't have those, most of your other relationships are going to be a function of the dysfunctionality of your relationship with yourself and your relationship with, and I'm just going to say God because it's God for me,
yeah.
But whoever it is, whatever deity that is for you, you have to have something outside of yourself that you are in relationship with that teaches you how to interact with the world, that teaches you how to have a value system, that teaches you to have something to hold on to outside of what you as a person, because we have limited understanding as people.
And it's got to be those core pillars, because that's exactly, they are holding you up. And when things shake, and which they will, you will see the winds of change. You'll see them in your family. You'll see them in your personal health and in everything. And when it does, if you don't have those core things settled, that's when you shake a lot. Although that's also when you grow a lot, because if you are not having success in this area, chances are you are really, it's an opportunity to grow in a weakness rather than a failure. It really can turn everything around if you start recognizing, oh, wait a minute, it starts way back here.
Right. So get it right up here so that when you start building on it, it's not all, but I think that's the hardest thing, because I watch so many relationships, and as I'm trying to teach on relationships, you can't teach somebody how to treat somebody else when they can't even treat themselves well. They don't value themselves. They don't really like themselves. They're still struggling with all that stuff they grew up with, all of the bullying. They're still struggling with not feeling valued by a parent that left them. And so as an individual, when you have all of those struggles, they show up. I was talking to a friend, and she was telling me some stuff about her office that she works for and everything. And I'm like, you know what? That person is a reflection of him, because everything you're saying to me, now the person that you have a problem with is just a reflection of the person doing all the hiring. Now he has all of these people representing broken pieces of himself, and they're all surrounding you, and now you got a dysfunctional office because all he's doing is bringing and just surrounding himself with light.
And that's interesting. As family businesses, we are not always getting our information from somebody you don't know, that maybe you've got some level of humanness and you understand you should treat somebody with some respect. But when you got family history, you can really, you can destroy somebody.
That's a whole nother beast.
You can destroy somebody when you don't understand those things as well. So it comes into your management skills. All of a sudden, you're treating other people. You don't realize why you're not getting the response you want, but you haven't learned those things that are really required. Just the showing respect.
Foundational,
will
the
really
things I learned in kindergarten.
You would show them to somebody else, but you may not show them to your family. It's like nobody else can pick on my kid sister but me. Don't mess
Right.
with her, but I'll do it, right?
Right.
Well, you take that into business, and now you got trouble because not everyone is family, but it also bleeds through, like you said, every relationship. I love the visual you gave me as you said that. I could just see it because we do that. And it hits our customers and our client base as well.
That's when it gets scary.
It's
yes.
infectious because negative and positive, no matter what your ripple is, it's going
spreading.
out. It's going
spreading,
out.
absolutely. And at the end of the day, whether I'm teaching couples, whether I'm teaching mother-daughter relationships, whether I'm teaching in an office space, whatever that is, the foundational principle, and I think we try to, at the end of the day, we try to separate spirituality and life and business and family and relationships, when at the end of the day,
Good
it's
luck
all,
with that.
it all goes together. And ultimately, and the one thing that I live by is just to love people. And one of the things that I've really started doing is looking at how I treat my family as well. I mean, because you're right. We go home and you talk crazy to your husband or you're pushing your kids down. But at work, you're like, an angel. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, she's so sweet, she's so nice. And your husband and your kid at the party looking like, you don't know her. But I think you're right. We have to get out of that comfort zone and just create this foundation of I am love, I'm going to be loved, and really starting to challenge yourself and checking yourself. I mean,
Love
even
that.
to the extent of, in my office relationships, even my home relationships, if I'm wrong, I'm having a really bad day. It's not an excuse for the way that I treat you, but I apologize. I was wrong for that. Checking myself in the moment, because 9 times out of 10, you know when you're wrong. And when you start to do that, you're going to show up differently in that space because you now have acquired a real true love perspective, showing up in action versus just words, and it's going to show up in everything that you do.
It's huge. You called it a comfort zone, and I would say that a lot of times it can be construed that way, but the reality even of that is the stress level that brings to your life it'll start destroying your physical organs. I mean,
Yes.
it will start taking you down. We're not living in that time, Kisha. We can't
Right.
we're not living in a time in our life in an American business where we have the right to sit back and go, I can't bring my A game to absolutely every
Right.
relationship I have. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to screw it up. You're going to
Doesn't,
screw
right.
it up. But the minute like you said, you get back up and you go, you know what? It is so much better to say, I'm sorry.
It
Let's
is.
start over, because guess what? I don't say everything right all the time.
You don't, and you're not
I
going to.
don't.
I still will check you in a minute and I'll catch myself. So at the end of the day, it's a function of just having a new level of awareness, in all of our relationships, business, professional, personal, and it's going to show up consistently and get better and grow. And ultimately what we're going to see is just a world around us, a community, back to community. You're going to see a business, a community, a family that's happier, healthier, whole. And guess what? We're going to have a better world as a result.
And
of
do you think you can make a difference? Friends, do you love Kisha as much as I do? Oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun talking to her. And that's exactly the point. And that's exactly what we wanted to bring you here in January. Because we got to get off on the right footing, and we can. We don't have to live in this dysfunction, and we can treat people better. But we're gonna, when we come back, we're gonna take a short break, and you're gonna hear from some of my sponsors. But then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk a little bit more about what we can do going forward to really set those firm pillars in place,
Absolutely.
and maybe some things we should be considering as we're checking ourselves this
Absolutely.
year.
That's
Does
what
that
it
sound
is.
good?
Self-check.
Awesome. All right, friends, we'll be back in just a few moments. You're listening to the Offbeat Business Show with Kisha Allen.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And now, are we staying on schedule? Or
Mhm.
we skip
Are we good?
Louis and go to Bill after this.
Let's see if he's done. If
Okay.
he's still talking with Robin, we'll let him talk.
Okay, I'll go tell him.
Mhm.
All right, ready? Okay. Let's pause these shoots.
And we're back. Thank you, friends, for tuning in your valuable lunch hour. This is Susan Hamilton. You're listening to the Offbeat Business Show, and we are bringing Kisha L. Allen to you today. who is a motivational teacher. And the reason we thought this was such an important early on conversation is because our relationships really do matter, and we represent the 80% of American small businesses that are family-owned businesses that tend to have 9 employees or less. We tend to be raising our families while we build our business, stress enough, but then chances are we're taking care of our parents. We probably have a veteran in our mix who's either bringing their A game or struggling a little bit.
Right.
And odds are more and more we're seeing addictions. And I can't tell you how frequently when I go to networking meetings and I tell the stories of what's gone on with our family, in particular, addictions have just riddled my children's lives. And it's been a huge struggle. And I look back as I talk about those things and about how to get back up from that and how to realize that that purpose in business matters, because the journeys that I took, Kisha, took me right into the prison system. And so I volunteer with inmates. And I felt very strongly as I left one day asking God, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
You taught me how to you taught me marketing, and now you're giving me a heart. You put my heart over here. And I said, I really don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. And
He's good at doing that too.
Yeah, and the revelation that came to me is that the people that are capable of doing something about this are business owners. Only business owners tend to think, I don't have a voice, I don't matter. Everything is going on around me, and they don't recognize the power that they have when they show up, and they show up in a major way and recognize that it's not just about payroll, it's not just about making everybody happy in the here and now. If everything was really great in your business and all you do is jump in your boat, you missed what it means to be in business.
Right.
And there's so much more. So that just is the heart, really, of what we're doing here, because as I was sharing those messages, people would come to me and talk, and we need to be doing excellent in our business. This isn't just about marketing. This is about we have a responsibility to show up in audio and video and digital magazines and be present in a space that is hungry and that really needs help, because until we don't even know the needs of the community, and we have no idea how to help. And we got a whole year, Kisha. I bet you have some awesome ideas about how we can make sure we're present this year.
You know, even bigger than being present is being aware. Because I think the issue is that we are present. We're everywhere, but really nowhere. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
I see so many people, and so many of my friends, especially being on Facebook, they're checking in everywhere. They're posting selfies everywhere. But you ask them something and you have a real deep conversation, there's no depth to be found whatsoever. And you know that in that space, okay, you just went to an event in downtown Dallas. It is riddled with homeless people. You can't tell me you didn't find one opportunity to bless somebody with $5, and that wasn't the epitome of your story. The epitome of your story was that bad selfie you took over near the food place where they had this big, beautiful ice sculpture. So we are very present. We're everywhere. We're all over the place, but nobody's aware. Nobody's awoke enough. So we're missing the opportunities to pour into people. We're missing the opportunities to impact. We're missing the opportunities to show up and to pull somebody up out of. And so we talk a lot about being present, but I think now the challenge is, how can you be aware? That's what's missing.
That is a challenge, and I agree with you when it comes to the checking in. I think that's a really ridiculous waste of time. I know that's not popular for me to say because I'm in marketing and I'm supposed to tell everybody to check in everywhere you go, but you won't hear me tell you what you're going to hear everywhere else. You can find information like that. What we're all about is helping you step up and really shine in your business. And that doesn't mean, like you're saying, you need to be on every platform in some way. You really do. But to be this phrase everywhere, you limit yourself to 1% of you everywhere you go. You're not really as effective as you could be when you pay attention to the needs of the community. And you're right, you can be standing right next to somebody who needs what you got. If you're not looking, you will miss it.
But and that's what it goes back to. So developing that awareness at all times, so that so the thing I always try to tell people is that at the end of the day, we are all vessels, right? We're all on this journey waiting to meet. I'm supposed to meet you because I'm supposed to give you something, or I'm supposed to tell you something that's going to catapult you to the next place. I'm supposed to be a customer, whatever that is. But if you don't have a level of awareness, you're right, you'll miss it. So we go into networking events with the mindset of sale, 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 sale. But guess what? You miss that. Guess what? You are this close to having a nervous breakdown, And then if you just would talk to the woman over here who has nothing to do with what you're trying to sell, she had a word that she was going to plant down in your spirit, that then I could come along and I could water it and you would be 10 times better off. You know what I mean? So we're missing what's really supposed to happen in a space, all because we're so focused on sell, sell, sell. And what I believe is that as you show up for life the way you're supposed to show up in and on purpose, what then happens is people begin to say, you know what, that you're always on people's mind because of the value that you bring. And I'm not talking about you helped me make $1 million, because everybody's the profit expert. Everybody's the, let me put you in the red or the black or the purple, whatever. At the end of the day, it's bigger than that. And when you start to show up and the bigger than that, business lines up for you, opportunities open up for you, because then people truly want to see you win, because you are about real life, the Father's business, and not your own. And I think what's happening is we're becoming so selfish that people are like, well, I don't really care. I don't, you're not a second thought for me because you don't think about me. You don't think about anybody else. And that's why we struggle as business owners to see our businesses grow. But at the end of the day, if you watch me in the way that I do business, my business is a referral-based business. I don't really do a lot of marketing. I don't really do a lot of promoting, because people refer into me. They call me when they need a speaker. They call me when they need somebody over to do this or do that. But it's a function of, I think people know my heart. And not to say I'm perfect, but at the end of the day, when I wake up every day, I'm sick of chasing the next sale.
No,
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sick of chasing the next sale.
Kisha, that's so true. But I do want to point out, and I want to point out to our audience, that those referrals didn't happen by you sitting at home and not doing anything.
They didn't.
You had to get your butt out there and figure out where it was effective for you to network, whose hands to shake, and say, I'm going to be in that situation. I'm going to put myself in a position to succeed.
And I have a brand. I mean, if you Google me, I did build the platform, and it exists. And so the thing I always try to teach people is you want to be a good steward of everything you're supposed to do. You want to make sure you're handling business and doing the things you're supposed to do. But what you don't want to happen is to be running yourself into the ground, stressed out, chasing people down, jumping on people's back. That's not business. That's not the way business is supposed to be. You're supposed to do the traditional things, go out, make calls. And I do all of those things. But it is not my focus. If somebody comes along right now and I'm sitting here and I see a homeless man sitting on the corner, but then he's standing in between me and my business meeting, I'm going to stop for the 5 minutes to do what I need to do in that space. And even if I have to text and say, hey, I'm going to be a little late, I'm going to deal with that, what I'm supposed to deal with there, and then go to the meeting. So it's a function of priority and being aware so that I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm supposed to be over here, but wait a minute. I'm supposed to stop right here because there's something here for me.
There's a space, there's a brain space you have that enables you to do that. And one of those things that I haven't asked you this question, but I bet you already do this. I know in my life it's certainly true. If I don't have the people in place to do the types of things in business I don't do it all, darling. I do not do it all. And if I did, I would miss everything. And that, I think, is a major, major problem in American business today. We're in a hamster wheel, and we are just going as fast as we can because there's all these things to do.
And starting 1,000 projects at a time.
You should have project managers. You should have, and you don't wake up and you're able to do that. But let me tell you something. If you are out there, this was an eye-opener for me, and this was built, the Offbeat Business Show and Magazine. When you are out there meeting people and shaking hands and developing those relationships, pretty soon you understand who to trust.
Absolutely.
And when you understand who to trust, you're going to ask them a question you may not have picked up the phone and asked about.
Right.
And all of a sudden, which is everything, the event that we've got going on coming in April 22nd, that's a big, big deal. The first celebration of American business, that's a big, big deal. And that's what it's all about, creating an environment of fun and networking and instruction and workshops and
that's it, relax
everything.
A little bit.
Chill your jets and hang out for the day, because odds are good you're going to pass somebody and you may ignore them the first time, you may ignore them the second time, but pretty soon you're going to have a conversation and you're going to come out and go, boom, that now I understand why I need you. And oh, by the way, I think if I gave you this part of my project, I could do this over here, and you can start. You start upping your level
partnership,
and you realize what you can do. Because I promise you, friends, you should not be doing your own HR. You should not be doing your own. No. If you're doing that, that's you cannot grow your own business. You can't. Let the person who's got bring their A game to it, let them do that.
Absolutely.
Because then you're really going to shine. You've got all the experts at the table. Now what can't you do?
Right.
And you've worked with that community and freed up your space so you can think about the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. But at the end of the day, it all works together, and it's important that we have all of those pieces, in our lives, and we're focused on all of those things. But I think the biggest thing that you said here today was be open to partnership, be open, to delegating, because I think that's what's really happening to business owners is that they're trying to do everything, thinking that they can, when in reality nobody can do everything. I was telling my daughter just yesterday that one of the greatest lessons I learned was to partner, because I want all my money. I do. I want to make it all for myself, but at the end of the day, if I'm running myself into the ground trying to get all
There's
the
nothing
money,
left of you.
there's nothing, right, and I can't spend any of the money because I'm worn out and I'm tired and I'm beat down. So why not partner with somebody and we work together and we make double the money and we split it? Be okay with sharing, be okay with giving, be okay with that, So we just have to move from a place of greed.
I don't know that it's so much greed, so much as
it's a
Kisha,
lot of greed.
But,
I want it all for myself.
We've also got an age difference in the way our businesses are, and a lot of our businesses are older, and it's not their grandparents' business. It's not their parents' business anymore. We are doing business differently. We are moving at a faster pace. We are dealing with more legislation than we ever have before. And so while maybe your dad knocked out of the ballpark with his fingers in everything, today's business doesn't make sense that way. And so I'm sure there is an element of greed in there, but there's also an element of really, we kind of are products of what we've seen. And so if we can expose them to some new ideas and some new avenues, just turn that light on. Right. Because you don't have to do it all yourself. You don't.
And that's the key. I think more than anything, and I say it's greed because a lot of what we're dealing with is that people want to do everything so they can keep all the profits for themselves, when at the end of the day, we have too many resources, and while there is legislation, we have too many resources to overcome all of the challenges that our mama and our dad and our cousins faced. So.
Yeah, we don't have to do it like that. Kisha, I am so happy that you came here today.
Yes, well,
and
thank
that
you for inviting
everything. Would you please tell our audience how they can reach you?
You can reach me everywhere. Visit my website, KishaLAllen.com. You can call me, text me, Google me. I'm everywhere. As Susan mentioned, marketing is I have a huge marketing platform. I am all over the place. You can find me anywhere. Just Google KISHAL and then Allen, ALLEN, but just Google me. I'm sure I'll pop up somewhere there. So, and if not, call Susan and have her.
We'll hook you up.
Right.
We'll hook you up. All right, friends, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. I hope that you are going to take on this year and take on some new challenges and take on some new relationships and say, wow, I'm going to kick some butt in business because I really do matter, because, baby, you do. You do. So until next time, friends, you can find our lineup. You can find our replays. You can download our app. Did you know we've got an app? It's the best way to get information from us. Go to offbeatbusiness.com/app or go to the Google Store. But make sure that you've got access to the information that we're bringing you every day, because we are changing what business for business is. We are helping you understand that business owners do business with other business owners because of this kind of excellent stuff we get to bring to the table. And there's just so much more, and this is going to be an amazing, amazing year. So go to offbeatbusiness.com for the digital magazine, lineup, replays, and the app, and to find out more about Kisha Allen, and where you will find all of her contact information as well. Thank you so much. You've been listening to the Offbeat Business Show.
Jeez, you were belting that out.